So I thought it'd be fun to make a video on how I use eBay's website to price stuff I have, whether I'm selling it on eBay or not. This will kind of apply to everything, but a lot of what I'm going to be going over here is based on my experience with used electronics. I'm doing this in a incognito browser just to make sure that the results aren't going to get skewed from what I already have saved for searches and search history. Um, there are some limitations to how useful eBay can be. With these searches, it's going to be stuff that's going to give results. There are situations where you might come across some weird and obscure electronic item that has not been seen on eBay within the last 90 days. Terapeak is generally worthless, but if you're already paying for a store subscription, the one time Terapeak does come in handy is when you're struggling to find results doing product research. So the first item I'll be searching for will be a Intel Core i7-3770. When using a search engine, depending on the site, how you type stuff in matters. eBay kind of likes to chop up and screw with what you do when you're searching for stuff. So it's something you have to keep in mind and understand how to fight. In my case, if I'm looking to price an i7-3770, I would type in i7-3770, hit enter to search. It's going to automatically put me in the CPU processors category, which is perfect. Since this is a incognito browser, it doesn't have any of my preferences saved. Normally I will do price lowest first, especially for processors, since their price is driven on um, whatever's basically the cheapest and not necessarily who's the best seller or who has the best one, since there's really not much reason for there to be variation. Also, anytime I'm doing product research, I just automatically select buy it now. There's no reason to even waste your time with auctions. In the case of a lot of stuff when it comes to electronics, you're going to get a lot of overseas sellers. I've never really found a reason to compete price-wise against overseas sellers, especially sellers that are using the variations to change their placement. We'll just click on one of these, for example, here. This one right here. This is a variation listing. Their cheapest, oh, it's a K, all right. Their cheapest processor is probably going to be the 2500K at, yeah, $42. But if you're looking for 3770, they don't even have any. So, yeah, that's not a very good example. Looks like all those are Ks. But anyways, that's beside the point. When searching for stuff, I generally will scroll down and I will filter out US only. I have some saved searches. This links I've saved the links to that, so I don't have to do this filtering normally. But this is just to show, I guess, the thought process and how to set up what I do. Another problem here is I search for i7-3770, but eBay is also going to throw in some 3770Ks. It looks like I actually got lucky, and those got filtered out when I filtered out overseas shipping. There's a 3770S, but overall. So in this particular example, the one thing I do personally, since I know the processor models fairly well from experience, if I know I want a 3770 specifically, I will use the minus sign with keywords to filter out models that aren't relevant to what I want. The alternative is you can search for the CPU part number, which is SR0PK, but I prefer just to do the easy model number. Plus, not everybody puts the Intel model number on there. Most people are guaranteed to put the product model number though. So in this search, I'm going to subtract 3770S, 3770T, and 3770K, which should cover all the variants. It will bug the search out because eBay's kind of great like that. So I will have to put it back in the CPU and processors category. So all these results now should be 3770s. And in the case with processors, especially Intel processors, they're highly price driven. So right now, if I was trying to list the i7 3770 on eBay, I would see that the cheapest one is $57.69. There's two different ways I would consider listing this. If I just want to sell it fast, I'll throw it up for $57.68, basically lowball the cheapest one by a penny to get the best placement. There's no point in going lower than that because you're only hurting yourself and you're taking profit out of your pocket. Alternatively, what I do, at least with this particular example, with the 3770, since it's still a higher value processor, I would list it for more and then enable best offers. And the rationale behind that is there's a lot of scammers buying high demand electronic items, and processors are one of those items. I've had in the past where it's the weirdest thing. They won't pay more than what the going rate is, but they're using stolen credit card information, which doesn't really make sense. If I was a fraudster and I was looking to scam people out of product with stolen credit card information, then I would not even worry about the prices. I just buy stuff at random, as long as I suppose it, would stay under the threshold for however the fraud prevention works at banks. But I have found that with the higher value processors, if you list them above going rate and then you enable best offers, it helps prevent getting scammed. So like a better example here would be the i5 2400, which, since I haven't subtracted the variants yet, the first results you see are for the S variants. So I need to subtract 100S. I believe there's a 2400T. I don't believe there's a 2400K, but it's just easy to add it. All right, so there's all the i5 2400s. So in this case, I'm not as worried about getting scammed on i5 2400. So if I had some i5 2400s to sell, I'd list them at $19.99, basically 1 penny cheaper than the cheapest option. Also, it looks like this little blue bar here says that eBay's hiding some of the results, which is one of eBay's unethical techniques they do to suppress people's listings. Sometimes the listings that get suppressed are for legitimate reasons, but in this case, it's hard to say. So I'll click see more results. Oops. And yeah, for some strange reason, it hid this i5 2400 here. Um, Here's another i5 2400. This one says read in the title, which is always a bad sign. Along with missing caps, I'm not sure why they're selling this as used when it should be for parts repair. Because this is a damaged processor. This shouldn't be listed as used. So like this one you wouldn't have to compete with on a price standpoint. But this one, for whatever reason, eBay chose to hide. Their feedback's not great, but I don't know. There's such low feedback to be at 97%. It probably means they have like 1 or 2 negatives. Ooh, 7 negatives. Yeah, maybe they're not the best performing, but I don't know. That's kind of what eBay protection's for. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. That's not my problem. I don't know if I buy from them personally, but you know, everyone has their different pain tolerances. So realistically though, after showing the listings that eBay chose to hide, I would actually list these i5 2400s at $19.94 just so I'd hold the cheapest position. With processors, it's not going to make a difference in how fast it sells because basically the majority of the time people buying processors are going to be dealers. Otherwise, when you do get an individual that buys a processor, they're not price driven. So like, sure, they might buy the one that's the cheapest, but also they might not know how to filter their searches. So maybe they'll buy this one that's $18 and $4 shipping, or this one for $22.30 that's had a bunch sold. But generally with processors, you want to be the cheapest. Like I said, only lowball the cheapest one by a penny. You're only going to hurt yourself if you do more than that. There's no reason for it. So the next item will be a Lenovo T460 14-inch laptop with an i5 processor, 8 gig of RAM, and a 240 gig solid state drive. And we will just go back to the home page, start from scratch. In this case, for that particular search, I would search T460, i5, 8 gig. Those are the most important factors in determining the price of this particular laptop. And I'm going to click search here and you'll see that there'll be some results that won't make sense, but with some right filtering, we'll get through that. For some reason, it didn't filter out to the PC and laptops category. So we'll fix that. Didn't remember I want to do lowest first because I'm an incognito browser, let alone buy it now. So I'll have to fix that. So the next problem here is you're going to get a lot of results that really aren't of any benefit. eBay doesn't really give a good way to filter out broken items. So when I'm pricing laptops, I usually subtract the word no, read, oops, bad. I'm drawing a blank on what the other one was that I do. Oh, parts. Oops. This will just kind of help dial in the results. That's funny. Refurbished and the LCD has flaws. So pricing laptops can be kind of tricky. Laptop prices aren't super price oriented because there's a lot of variation in condition and configuration. So these first cheapest items here, we got one that I say it's a 512 gig hard drive, but I'm reasonably certain that's a 512 gig SSD. But LCD burns means it probably has pressure marks or burn in. Let's look at that real quick. LCD burn is clearly visible on display. That's interesting. They use the same warranty stickers that I do. Not that they really mean anything, but yeah. The listing doesn't really say much. I'm not sure what they mean by LCD burns. My best guess is has to be pressure marks. I don't think I've seen burn-in with these particular laptops. So obviously there's no point in competing with this one. This one, if as long as your laptop's in good condition, this one's not even worth thinking about. Your next one here, according to the title, I'm not going to bother clicking on the listing to look at it, but it says it has a 500 gig hard drive, so I'm inclined to believe that that's actually a hard drive. Even though the configuration we're talking about right now would have a 240 gig solid state drive, This is not, it's not competition. Solid state drive is smaller, but it's also faster and more desirable. So your next one here, this is actually comparable to the configuration we're thinking about. It's a T460 with an i5, has a 256 gig solid state drive and 8 gig of RAM. So what I would do is I'd click on the listing just to see what the offering is. Not perfect, but decent cosmetics. Huh. Let's see what they're listing. LCD has been cleaned and fully tested. All windows, scratching, scuffing. Oh, one small white spot. Okay. I thought maybe the panel was flawed. I can't even tell what they're pointing at. I think it's a pressure mark. I thought maybe that bar across the screen was like a flaw in the panel. So this particular laptop would be fairly comparable to the example laptop of a T460 with an i5 processor, 8 gig of RAM, and a 240 gig SSD. Assuming that your cosmetics are similar to this, then you'd probably want to price it somewhere similar to what they have it on, around $200. This particular laptop they're listing has just the standard screen, the 1366 by 768 resolution. So that's the lower end screen than these normally come with. But going from that to a 1080p screen, most buyers aren't observant enough to know the difference. So whether you have the lower end screen or the 1080p screen, then that'll kind of determine your price. If you want to go for more, you could. If you do go for more, maybe put 1080p in the title so the discerning person's going to see right away, oh, well, this laptop has a 1080p screen. As you can see, there's another one that's $200, but this one has a 128 gig SSD, so this person is asking for more despite having a lower end config than the one that's 99 cents cheaper. But they will sell it, I don't doubt that. And you can kind of look through more. This one here for 192, it has a 320 gigabyte hard drive, so not as good as the example configuration. But here's another one with an SSD. Another one with an SSD. That one has a 128 gig SSD, so a little smaller. Another one with a 240. Let's see how this one is cosmetically. Looks fairly clean, except for there's some damage by the power jack and USB port on the side. It looks like it's just base plate damage, but I don't know. It might be a little ambitious asking 200 for that. Just depends how observant the buyer is. At least they're honest about it, took good pictures, and then explained in the listing, so that's nice for this seller. And it looks like they're fairly reputable. So yeah, basically from looking at what's currently active, you can determine that a Lenovo Thinkpad T460 with an i5 processor, 8 gig of RAM, and a 240 gig hard drive, or I'm sorry, 240 gig solid state drive, should bring around $200. You could go for more than that if you wanted, if you're patient. You know, and also I guess maybe yours is of exceptional cosmetics. These don't, from my experience, these don't wear particularly well. But if yours is of better cosmetics, maybe it's mint condition. No scratches, no scuffs, no greasy marks on the palm rest like this one here. Let's look at that. See how there's put it full screen, please. Actually, a better picture. See how there's kind of the wear marks on the palm rest. That's not a big deal. That's not going to hurt the value. There's some wearing on the edge as well, actually. It won't hurt the value of the laptop, but if yours is in better condition than that, then Obviously, you can ask for more. Also, I guess this is the T460S, which is not quite the same, but yeah, with this example, with normal wear and tear, the T460 should bring $200 fairly easily, maybe even more. There's other considerations too, though, because like let's say you have the T460 with the touchscreen. There's not as many of them listed on eBay with touchscreens, so I'm going to remove the 8 gig RAM. But the i5 is still important. All right, well oops, I am typing in stuff wrong. There we go, closer to spelling that correctly. All right, wow, that's a good deal. $200. It only has a 160 gigabyte hard drive, so you'd have to replace it with the solid state if you want to be nice, but looks like in this case of the T460, the touchscreen doesn't really add much value. I would say if you have the touchscreen model, you might be able to get 250. Sometimes it's worth looking at completeds just to see, but most of the time with electronics, completed isn't really good for reference. That is for like common electronics, at least like laptops and processors and stuff that's commonly available. Generally, the going rate is whatever you can buy it for right now. Because let's look at the completeds real quick. Oh, well, there's only one example, and it's T460S. We'll go back to the non-touchscreen example, the T460 with an i5, 8 gig, and solid state drive. And generally, when you would look at completed listings, you don't want to necessarily sort by price. You want to see what's sold recently. If it's a high volume item like a laptop. Also, I need to do some more keyword filtering here. Since we're only interested in the T460, I have to filter out the T460S model. And I think there's a T460P if I remember right. Alright, so now we're looking at completeds for the T460 example. So here's one that sold for $250 with our example config. But here's one that sold for $200. That one has a hard drive, so that's not comparable. This one's with a solid state drive. Oh, a solid state drive. This is kind of going to make me look a little foolish since the recent completeds look like they're bringing higher than what I determined the price should be based on current active inventory. But some of that comes down to seller experience. From my experience, if you're going to go the higher route, like this example here, this one sold March 4th, so it sold 2 days ago from when this is being recorded for $250. Well, you don't know how long they've had it on eBay. I mean, they might have been trying to sell this the last 6 months for all you know. So that's something to consider. That's why when I price stuff, I kind of have to use a little bit of judgment. Generally, since laptops are a commodity item, you kind of have to be price competitive. You'd have to be in this 200 range. I wouldn't go more than 225 in this example if it were me, unless there was something that made the laptop more special than the other ones. But hopefully that makes sense. I think I should move on to a different example now since I've been on this one for a while. Next example will be a Dell Optiplex 9020 small form factor with an i7 and 16 gig of RAM. So for the search on that, do a 9020 SFF, stands for small form factor. i7, since we care about the processor matching what we're selling. 16 gig of RAM, that's kind of debatable. I want to see how many results are. I don't always include the memory when I'm searching for desktops just because there's a lot of variance. And we'll select desktops and all-in-ones for the category. So desktops are a little bit weird pricing wise. Also, eBay's search engine is being broken like usual. I put 16 gigabyte in the title, but this is showing up with 8 gig, or 16 gigabyte in the search, and this one's showing up with 8 gig in the title. So either they're got the wrong keywords in here somewhere, or yeah, I don't see 16 gigabyte anywhere. Yeah, so this is something that has always pissed me off about eBay. I don't want to do that. There we go. When you're doing a search using the search bar on eBay, it's searching the keywords in the title. It does not search the keywords in the subtitle, but it also searches keywords in the item specifics. Let me close that. Well, 16 gigabyte doesn't show up in the title or the item specifics. It's not even anywhere in the listing. This shouldn't have been a result based on our search. I'll even click the search button again to make sure it's just not a glitch. Yeah, so this even shouldn't have even shown up. I mean, this is the first one that for sure has 16 gigabytes of RAM. This is a variation, so I'm not even going to bother clicking on that to use as a price reference because people just use the variations to disrupt their search placement and get better search placement. I guess this one's also a variation. Variation, here's the first one that's an actual listing. There's another one that's a real listing. So based on what I'm seeing here, the Optiplex 9020 small form factor with an i7 and 16 gig of RAM, you're looking at anywhere between 200 to probably about 240 is where it's going to start cutting off and slowing down. That pricing will depend on your hard drive, whether it's a spinning hard drive or a solid state drive. So like if the configuration has a 500 gigabyte hard drive in it, then I would say a safer bet would be more on this lower end of $200. Of course, this person's sold, or no, I guess they just have 20 watchers. This person here, they're selling theirs, trying to sell theirs for $210 with no hard drive. I don't know. Let's look at this real quick. Well, they've sold 11. I gotta get some of these listed. Yeah, I'm not logged in, so eBay's gonna want to make me play silly games. Oh, seaplane. It's like, okay, I'll click on everything with a plane. Is it just the 3? Oh, I guess I can't look at the quantity they've sold without logging in. But yeah, so in this example, I would say somewhere around $200 if you have a 9020 with an i7 and 16 gigs of RAM, and the hard drive that you put in it will be the biggest determining factor on where in the $200 range you'd go. Spinning hard drive, probably on the lower end of 200. Solid state drive, maybe closer towards 240. One thing definitely kind of want to watch out for with desktops. I'm going to choose a different example here. Let's do a 9010 small form factor with an i7 and 8 gig. What is it? What in the world are they doing here? Alright, that's what I thought. It's a variation listing. They're just out of variations, so there's only one price. So this is an Optiplex 9010 with a i7 8 gig. I have no clue what this person is doing. 596 gig. It must have a 640 gigabyte hard drive in it. I don't know. Getting sidetracked. Um, this isn't probably the best example either. I guess what I was trying to get at is sometimes with desktops, they're worth more in parts than they are to sell. Let's go back and see what the 3770 was worth again. Filter out China and all the other overseas sellers. So 3770 is almost $60, and looks like 150 is the bottom end of the price range on what's active. So this would still be worth selling. There's some cases where the parts in the computer outvalue the computer itself or the hassle of shipping the computer. So like let's say with this 9010, the i7 3770 is worth $60. 8 gigs of RAM, if that's two 4 gig sticks, that's worth $20. Spinning hard drives are worthless, so that's not worth thinking about. I believe the power supplies for those are also worth $20. So just between processor, memory, and hard drive, you have almost $100 worth of parts. Plus there's other stuff you can part out of those. Motherboards and those aren't worth selling, but that's complicated. So at $150, you're kind of on that borderline though of where do you sell it as a whole desktop or you part it out? You'll make a little less money parting it out with this config at this price, but you also have to figure shipping. If you're packaging it properly, I would say label cost would be about $15 and you're going to use $5 for the packing materials. So it's going to cost you $20 shipping and handling. Plus, if you have a store, your fees are going to be around, I think it's almost 7%. It's basically going to be around 7% because you're paying fees on sales tax now. So 150 times 0.07. You're going to pay another $10, $11 in final value fees if you're to sell it on eBay. So that puts you at $32. That means you're going to make $118 if you sell it after fees and shipping. So it's one of those deals where it's almost worth it just to part it out. Because then you don't have to deal with the buyer who's like, oh, I don't like the computer, it's too slow, or oh, Windows broke because I downloaded stuff off sites I shouldn't have and I want my money back. And well, now you're out, you know, $30 worth of round trip shipping. And that's if you're lucky. I'm basing my shipping rates off the Midwest, so basically going to the coast is either coast, it's almost the same. I mean, even on the high end, let's say you're in California and you're shipping this to New York. I don't know what that would cost since I've never done that before, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was a $25 label. Well, it's a $25 label, you can part it out. You're going to make a little less, but you're going to have a little bit less exposure to risk, and it's going to be a little less of a hassle, because it's more of a hassle to package a 10-pound small form factor computer than it is a 1-ounce processor and 3 ounces of RAM and a 2-pound power supply. So that's something that I deal with on a regular basis when it comes to desktops, where I basically just have to decide, is it worth shipping it and selling it as a whole unit, or do I just part it out? All right, I had to fix the mic real quick. Not using the best way to record this. It's just like a little call center headset. All right, the next example is going to be a Dell Poweredge R710 fan. I don't know the part number for this fan off the top of my head, so I'm just going to do a keyword search. And the keywords I'm going to choose are Dell, R710, and fan. Oops, it kept me in the desktops category. I'm going to back out into the computers and tablets category. And let's see what it's hiding. And we need to filter out overseas on this list, this search. For some reason, it's choosing to give me results that don't make sense. I don't understand why this spacer is showing up. I guess it's because they have it listed in the fans category. eBay search engine is so broken and weird. But so with this example of these R710 server fans, the cheapest one on eBay is $5.90 with free shipping. Since I'm not logged in, I can't see how they're selling, but you're not going to make any money doing this. I don't know why companies even do this. I get that like they might be thinking that this is a loss leader and it's going to be good for business. It's going to like draw people in. Oh, well, someone's going to see that I have this R710 fan real cheap and they might buy other stuff from me. I mean, it could happen. In the e-commerce side of things, it doesn't really make much sense. Repeat buyers are very seldom, especially on eBay. And I don't know of too many people who are like, ooh, well, I'm buying this fan from somebody. Let's see what else they have for sale, and I'm just going to buy some other stuff from them. Sometimes you'll get lucky. Sometimes somebody will recognize that you have other parts that they need. But in this case, I mean, you're not helping your business by trying to get traffic by selling something like this. I'm trying to think for me what this would cost to ship. This would go at an 8-ounce first class rate. I'd put it in a box because anybody putting a fan in a bubble envelope doesn't deserve to have a business. They're too stupid for their own good. Has somebody ever done that? I don't know. I've seen people do worse, so yeah. And even then, that fan probably weighs. I don't have one on hand. I'd have to grab one, but that fan is going to weigh at least 4 ounces, upwards towards 6. Honestly, it might even cost a 12-ounce rate to ship properly packaged, but we'll be generous. Let's say this will fit in the 8-ounce first class rate, and I'm basing this off my prices in the Midwest. This will vary for other people, but I would guess shipping on this would be about $4.25, give or take. That's not an exact number, that's just kind of a rough number from experience. And then the box will cost me around 30 cents. I'd probably wrap it in 1 square foot of small bubble, so that's another 10 cents. Then a little bit of void fill, we'll just say 5 cents, I don't know. So let's think here. I said $4.25 for the label, 30 cents for the box, 10 cents for bubble wrap, 5 cents for void fill. That'd be $4.70. And I don't know the fees for this category off the top of my head, but after sales tax, it's probably going to end up costing you 10% fees because I know this is a higher fee category in computers. So $4.70 for shipping and handling, 10% fees. Well, and then there's a transaction fee too, so it's even higher than I was thinking. 10% of fees is going to get you 59 cents plus the 30-cent transaction fee if they're just buying one. So that adds another 89 cents. Well, your cost to sell this is $5.59. So that means your profit, I should be able to do some math in my head, but I'm being lazy. Your profit's going to be 31 cents. There's no money in that. So this is one of those examples on why you shouldn't be price competitive. I don't know how these businesses do it. They're obviously still in business. This particular seller happens to have 69,000 feedback, but there's no good reason to take a loss on something you're selling just to sell it. You might as well just recycle it or throw it away. Because at 31 cents, I mean, if let's say you're paying somebody $15 an hour, and that's including taxes, insurance, whatever, all your employee liabilities that you have to cover. If you're paying them $15 an hour, let's see, we'll divide that by 60 minutes. That means you're paying them 25 cents a minute. Well, if your profit on this fan is 31 cents, do you really think your employee is going to be able to grab this from where you have it stored in your inventory room, grab the packaging material, package it, and put a label on it in 1 minute? Even if it takes them 2 minutes, there went your 31-cent profit. So with an example like this, when pricing it, I wouldn't even bother competing with this. If you want to lose money, I mean, that's all on you. I don't care. I'm not going to judge. But for me, that makes no sense. You know, you keep looking through these and, well, this one here for $6.99, that's not even a fan that's compatible with the R710. This is just an example of why people shouldn't copy titles, because there's somebody that probably had that in their title with the same part number. But yeah, I mean, you scroll through here, and even the more expensive fans, this person's selling them at $7.99. They'll probably make money when they sell them. It's not going to be a lot. You know, they might make 50 cents after figuring in labor and everything. Probably not, but it's still in that borderline where it's just not profitable. So with a particular item like this, a fan for a server, what I would do is I would figure out my shipping label costs and packaging costs and fees, and then figure out how much I can handle making before it's not worth my time. And that's based on the sale of an individual fan. If you're selling these in quantity, then at this $5.90 price that we're looking at, trying to think, you'd actually probably would make a okay profit if somebody bought two of them. It puts you in the higher first class rate. It probably puts you at the £1 first class rate, which would be a little over $5. Your packaging costs wouldn't be that much more. Let's just do some real numbers here. Pull up my calculator again. So if you sold two at $5.90, you'd make $11.80 for the sale. You'd pay, I would say it'd be $1.48 in fees. Shipping, we'll say 5.25. Packing, we'll say still a 30-cent box. Then maybe you'll package it a little better since it'll be heavier. So another 40 cents of void fill and bubble wrap. So if you sell two of them, you do end up making somewhere around $4. But you kind of have to figure for the worst, which is if you sell one of them, you're making nothing. And you got to wonder if that's worth your time. So in something like this, if it were me, I wouldn't list it for $5.90. There's just no way that a person can make a profit selling it for this, in my opinion, unless you're selling in bulk. So what I would do is I would list the fan at a price that makes more sense for this individual sale, which I would say would be $10. So I'd list it for $9.99 free shipping. Then I'd offer a quantity discount. In my case, when I offer quantity discounts, I usually do 5, 10, and 15%. 5% if you buy 2, 10% if you buy 3, 15% if you buy 4 or more. And then enable best offers. And then from there, you'll just have to watch for what offers you get. And if the offer is good, then you obviously take it. So like if you know the fan's worth $5.90, but someone wants to buy 5 of them from you and they're offering you $4 each, that's a $20 sale. The only problem is at selling 5, now your shipping rates are kind of higher too. So you have to figure that in. And 5 of them would probably put you at a 2 or 3 pound package, which would stick you either with priority mail, right? Or like a FedEx ground. Unless you're willing to use services like Parcel Select or Smart Post. I kind of try to avoid those nowadays because people just tend to get upset and it's just not worth dealing with the problems it creates. Unless it's going to save you like a lot of money. I mean, I won't use a slower service over, like a 10% savings. It's just not, it's generally not worth pissing the customer off over. But back on topic, I guess. So you have to figure out then if they're buying quantity, they're willing to pay you $4 each for 5 for a total of $20. What you think your shipping costs would be. I think in my case it'd probably cost $12 to ship that. So $12 for shipping, $2.30 for fees. Just doing the math here. And then packaging materials, probably about $1 worth of packing materials. So you'd be looking at $15.30 and you'd be looking to make $4.70 profit. Not factoring in time, of course. So that's where it kind of would pay off. You want to list it at a price where you can make money and then give your buyers the opportunity to offer you a fair price if they're willing to buy more than one. But it doesn't make sense to list something at a price point where you're going to lose money. You're not helping yourself. I mean, there's better things you can do with your time as a business because there's always something that you can do that'll generate more money than some small item like this. Small items like this basically are they're just loss leaders to get people in your door because you could sell 100 of these for $100 worth of profit, or you can sell one item that'll give you $100 worth of profit, or 5 items that'll give you $20 worth of profit. Some people say, "Oh, well, if you want to be successful, you gotta move product, you gotta move inventory." It's like, okay, well, why do I need to worry about moving inventory if I'm not making money? It just sounds like I'm working for the sake of work. So yeah, hopefully that example makes sense. I'm gonna get a drink here real quick, so I'm gonna mute myself. All right, next example is going to be a Juniper Networks EX3300-48P, 48 port Gigabit PoE plus switch. For that, I'm just going to search the model number EX3300-48P. Why I did that in all caps, I don't know. Case sensitive, doesn't matter. For some reason, it kept me in the category I was already in. Normally, eBay is pretty good about switching, but whatever. Oh, that's why. 49p, I meant 48p. Fat fingered that. There we go. networking and switches. So the reason why I picked this one is I've actually sold some of these recently, and initially I had best offers enabled in the listing, but I was getting lowball offers, and when I got the lowball offers, it's like, well, maybe I should double check what I'm competing against because these offers I'm getting don't make sense. So the first cheapest one you see here is going to be $138 with shipping, but it's parts only, has read in the title, which is always fantastic. So clearly there's something wrong with that switch. I'd look at the listing, but the second one down looks a lot more exciting. Next one down is 138 after shipping, also parts only, also says read. Come on, I want to see full picture. And as you can see in their pictures, this one's e-waste. This has no value. This thing's shot. It's been run over by a forklift. If it even works, there's really no value in this. The only value in this switch here would be to sell the power supply of it and then scrap the rest. Maybe the fans too. But yeah, so obviously when you're selling an EX3300 48P, you're not going to, oh, it doesn't even power on. So yeah, no, this thing's just total e-waste. If this sells, I'd be shocked. Maybe somebody smart could pull off the ASICs on there and remount the chips and do the BGA work, but this switch isn't worth enough to even do that. So looking at some further examples, here's some for $200 that are also parts only. Don't feel like reading those, don't care. Parts only, $220. 224 after shipping, parts only. Here's the first one that says pre-owned and no issues, or at least no obvious issues, that is. Let's see what we got here. Huh, that's weird. Please read. Pulled from a data center, listed individually, serial number, detailed photos, has his real returns. That's funny. Um, so yeah, this would be one to compete against. It's in good cosmetic shape. It works. No bad ports. They're asking $232 after shipping. I know when I was pricing these earlier, there were some used ones in the $200 range that said read or had bad ports, but apparently those sold or just, I don't know, are gone. We'll pretend this one doesn't say parts only in the listing. Hmm. Only thing wrong with it is cosmetic damage. It says no power supplies, fans, or rail kits included. I don't understand that. Those are all internal parts. They don't have pictures, so yeah, I don't know. That's not worth competing with anyways, because for parts. Here's one that's refurbished with minor damage. I think full screen. Yeah, it's not great. I don't know how. Did they seriously list that as refurbished? Wow, that's just dishonest. Yeah. So this one wouldn't really be one to compete against either because it's damaged. Oops. I'm gonna be back in just a second. All right. Left Facebook open. So sorry to anyone watching if you watch this far. You're gonna hear random Facebook noises because, yeah, didn't mute Facebook. So anyways, back to the topic on these Juniper EX3300 PoE switches. This one for 232 is the cheapest one that's good. Wow, another one that's damaged for 275. Let's see what's wrong with this one. Ooh, wow, they're ambitious. It's like something got dropped on it. It's wavy on the bottom, and there's a dent on the top. 275 over the top. Plus, they have it listed as used. This is not used. This is, at least for this type of item, this has basically been sodomized. Someone like threw this across the warehouse floor. I guarantee it. This person's insane. If they get it though, good for them. Hmm. The market's changed since I last priced these, which was probably about 2 weeks ago. I'm actually kind of surprised. Read first. Just another one with bad ports. I don't know why people are so dishonest in their listings. Let's see what it says, I guess, before I pass judgment. Small dent on bottom. That's why they say read first. I guess that's not bad. I was expecting bad ports. Huh. Apparently the dent on the bottom is so small it's worth mentioning, but not showing. Or did they show it? Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's a small dent. That's nothing. That probably happened when they were installing the switch. Accidentally slipped out of their hand or something and bumped into something hard. So yeah, basically in this example of this particular switch, I would say 250 is a reasonable price. You could go for more, but when you're looking at this stuff, definitely make sure you look over the condition that you're competing against. Because a lot of these lower examples, I mean, like this one's trash. This one belongs in e-waste. I don't feel like reading why this one's parts only, or this one, or this one, or this one. But this was the first one that had reasonable condition. But I think their price selling there is a little cheap. I got 250 a piece out of mine. I was selling them as a pair. But yeah, I mean, when you're competing against other items that are in worse condition, if yours is functioning and it's not like beat up real bad, there's no reason why you should compete against these people. You can list yours for more and then take offers. Because I mean, like this one for 280 after shipping, it doesn't have rack ears. Those rack ears are expensive. I would know because I'm the only one selling compatible rack ears for these Juniper switches right now that are genuine. Um, So yeah, like with this case, you could easily go for 250 and it should sell. I'm fairly confident sell. You could go for more. You might be pushing your luck trying to go in this $300 range. Looks like this person sold some of theirs. But yeah, condition matters. Don't don't compete with price on people that are selling junk. If their stuff's messed up, then the value they put on it is not going to be the same as the value of your item. All right, next example is going to be a pair of realistic Minimus 7 speakers. No rhyme or reason, they're just great speakers, and I thought it'd be fun to see what they're currently worth. In this case, I would type in Minimus 7 for my search terms. Which apparently is going to cause some issues because I didn't realize they made a 7-watt speaker, so that's going to get pulled up as a result. And I want to see what eBay's hiding in this case because I have a feeling it's going to be interesting. Replacement parts, capacitors, and crossovers. So used speakers are kind of an interesting one since cosmetics and condition really matter. Hmm. This one's kind of interesting. They could have pulled the dent out of that soft dome tweeter fairly easily with a piece of painter's tape. The speaker pins being broken is a bummer. But obviously if you have a pair of Minimus 7 speakers that are in okay shape, then there's no point in competing against this one. That is a really good deal though, if you wanted parts. Because the housing doesn't seem to be in. Let's look at bigger images. Yeah, maybe it's not as great of a deal as I thought. Yeah, the housing's a little rough. You could refinish that and make it look good again. The woofer appears to be in physically good condition. You could salvage some parts off there, but that's not the point, I guess, of this video. Anti-diffraction inserts. A lot of weird aftermarket stuff people are making for these. Maybe this isn't as good of an example as I thought it'd be. Used to be better options on eBay for these. We're finally starting to get the matching pairs. So with the Minimus 7 speakers, they came with 3 different designs, if I remember right. There's the aluminum body in white or black, and then there was the wood body, which is the most desirable and valuable configuration. So that'll kind of change how you look at pricing. But like with some of these lower end priced ones, this one's at what would that be? 62.50 after shipping. And let's blow these up. Maybe. eBay is so buggy. And it won't let me put it full screen. But see, these ones are all scuffed up. The grills, the paint's damaged. There's some scuffs in the housing. It's not going to hurt the functionality, and a person could touch it up. But, like, oh, an even bigger issue here. The driver in the left speaker is not correct. I barely caught that. I wonder if they have that in their description. Have Paramount in their car. Yeah, good cosmetic shape. Ew, they've been repainted. The rare silver version. I don't think it's rare if you repainted it. I don't know about the whole silver thing. Yeah, I would avoid these, and I wouldn't even. I wouldn't even consider these as a price comparable. They've been spray painted. The left one has the wrong driver in it. Clearly, they blew up the driver and put some random aftermarket thing in. I was wondering why the color was off. It's like these don't look black. I guess it says silver in the title, but I didn't really care about that. I was just trying to figure out pricing. So this is something where you want to compare condition. What in the world are these about? I'm getting distracted. Boy, is everyone ruining their speakers by painting them? Description, not just the 5 words the phone shows you. Huh. Yeah, see, this is why looking at descriptions for certain items are it's an important thing. Ugh, wow. These have been messed up too. The the spring-loaded wire clamps are stuck, and they sprayed WD-40 in there? Wow. Oh no. These poor speakers. Oh, these actually are silver. All right. I've never seen the silver ones before, so The labels say they're the silver edition. Huh. Well, that's cool. Let's learn something new today. Here's a pair of what should be wood. Oh, so sad. It's not damage you would see, but I don't know. I have a special place in my heart for these speakers. I have a pair of them on my desk right now that I'm looking at. Oh, so sad. The grills are kind of messed up. Hmm. So speakers can be tough to price. If yours are in mint condition, then you could probably ask more than what the lower end of the price range is. If you ruined them by pretending to be an artist, what in the world? Then that's just sad. It doesn't even look good. They were white previously? Oh my god. They didn't even do a good job masking that off or yeah. It just looks like overspray. It looks like somebody took the can of spray paint, tipped it upside down on the side of the speaker and pressed down to clean out the nozzle. And this looks like they were spray painting on their table and there was a crack in the table and their speaker was under it and oh no, I shouldn't be judging. This is not the point of the video. Here's a nice pair for $69. Extra nice. Ooh, these are clean too. That little scuff there could probably be cleaned off. Backs don't really matter from condition standpoint. A little discolored for some reason, but oh well. Yeah, some other paint damage. Looks like it's been rubbed on something. So if you had a white pair of Minimus 7s and they were in reasonable cosmetic condition, I mean, this is a prime example of how you would want to price yours, around $69. Here's a black pair. These look promising. Although I should read to see if they've been spray painted, I swear. Yeah, these are in great condition too, from what I can tell. Let's see if they've been spray painted. Nope, good. I'm salty right now. And that is also around $69. And like I said, those are in good condition. So a lot of these cheaper ones, people have pretended to be an artist or spray painted them because they're bored. uh, Here's a pair of wood ones. Let's see what these are looking like. I don't know why eBay won't let me zoom in. I think there's some wear and tear this purse isn't showing. They should have better pictures if they're going to ask that much. Honestly, with the wood ones, you can get even more than that. I mean, I would pay $100 for a pair that were clean with just minor wear and tear. So the wood ones were the least common and were the best sounding ones. Not sure why these people are listing this on eBay for local pickup. Oof. It's a shame there's those scuffs there. Wow, that's sad. Because these are pretty. They're in great shape. It's just those scuffs. You could probably fix that. Little uh, linseed oil or whatever people use to kind of get those to hide the scuffs. So yeah, unlike this example, depending on the version of speakers you have, cosmetics would really matter. The low end of the price are people pretending they're artists, or it's their speakers that have been messed up. But $70 for a pair of metal speakers, I could see easily. even 75. The wood ones, I would say they're the same price as the metal speakers if you don't care. Otherwise, I would think that they should bring in the 80 range if they're in good shape. All right, one last example. And in this case, it's going to be motherboard CPU combos. A lot of times with custom desktops, they aren't worth as much whole as they are in parts. So the example I have here is an ASRock B85M Pro 4 motherboard. And this is a socket 1150 board that'll take 4th gen Intel processors. If you were to put this motherboard in a case, even if it was a really like gamer looking case, you're not going to get as much profit out of it in the case as if you would sell it just as parts. There's some ways that you can extract more value out of motherboards and custom builds, but it depends if you want to be shady. Like, you can put this motherboard in some really cheap tempered glass case from AliExpress or whatever, put some flashing lights on it, and then put in your title, very fast gaming PC, i7, lots of RAM, fast hard drive, or whatever. Make some really stupid title that to trick people that aren't very tech savvy into buying it. But if you want to just be an honest seller and sell it as it is, you're actually gonna get more selling the motherboard with stuff. So let's look. There's not even that many options for this right now. In this case, since there's not a lot of active listings, I'd probably look at completed. Although the motherboard by itself is worth 65. So we'll go down to completed listings. And I did filter out international sales. Wow. Well, this board is not very popular. I'm gonna try a different board. I thought that board would have more results than that. DH55TC. This is an old first gen Intel motherboard. I believe it's, let's see, yeah, socket 1156. These are kind of a weird example because if you were to build a PC out of this, it wouldn't be worth much, maybe $100. The motherboard itself looks like it's worth around $50 right now. But the interesting thing about these motherboards is you can put a worthless processor in them and some memory, and you get a lot more out of them. This person's actually shortchanging themselves. It's just an i3, but let's see if they'll show how much RAM it is. Alright, I have to look at the listing. 4 gigs of RAM. I mean, they could be getting, they're charging for shipping too, 65. They could probably get a little more out of it than that. I'd be kind of scared to buy this though, personally, because them showing a picture, come on, of the CPU. eBay's being glitchy. That's not a good sign. I kind of wonder what they're using for thermal paste under that heatsink. Yeah, I'd be a little worried about that. But in the case of motherboard CPU combos, what in the world is this person doing? This isn't right. This motherboard doesn't support a Core 2 quad. Or, I mean, what? They say Core 2 Duo, but the processor model is a Q9800. Something's wrong with this listing. It's a DH55TC. See, I wouldn't buy from a seller like this. They don't know what they're doing. I'd be afraid of what I'd get. Interesting. Anyways, the cool thing about these motherboards is, especially when you put them in a combo, as we saw up here, Motherboard should be worth $50 by itself. That's easy, done deal. It'll sell, I guarantee it. But you put in, say, an i5 processor and 8 gigs of RAM. Well, here you go. This person's gonna get $85 for that combination. It's 4 2 gig sticks, so there's $20 of the RAM. i5 760 is basically worthless at this point, so probably another $5 processor. Well, they got, let's do the math here. 50. They're selling it for 85 including shipping. And it's gonna have 75 worth of parts in it. They just made an extra $10 by making it a combo. The shipping's gonna be a little bit higher because the weight of the board's gonna be higher after you start adding these parts. But it's really not gonna be that much more. It's not gonna eat that much into your profit. Especially like if you were to ship the motherboard, the CPU, and the memory separately, you're gonna pay more for shipping than you are in this combo. So this is a deal where it doesn't make sense to sell custom build motherboards as bare boards. You're going to be better off putting memory in a processor with it and selling it like that, let alone selling it as a system. I mean, because you look at this next one here, this person's asking $100. Well, who do you think is going to make more money? This one here at $100 or this one here at 85? I already know the answer because this one's going to cost more. This one here that I'm highlighting, this desktop, that's going to cost more to ship. In my case, like to ship this motherboard CPU combo, I usually can ship those priority mail for $12. I don't have to pay for a box because I use their 12 by 12 by 8 box. I just have to pay for bubble wrap, which I already would have had to pay for anyways, and a little void fill. Oops. Sorry about that. Cat just jumped on my lap and took my headset with it. um, So anyways, yeah. So I know I'm on my end from where I'm located, I can ship this motherboard CPU combo for $12, free box. Use bubble wrap I already was going to use and a little bit of void fill. Well, this it's going to cost me $15 to ship. It's going to use a lot more bubble wrap. I'm going to have to pay for a box. It's going to cost me a lot of money, probably $1.50. So your profit's going to be less. All this seller would have to do is pull the motherboard out of their computer and sell it as it is, and they're going to make more money. And they haven't even sold, let's see if they've sold, yeah, I guess they've sold 5 of them. But, well, and they're in California. So if they ship that all the way out to New York, their profits are all gone. So that's a weird thing about custom builds and motherboards. Custom build motherboards, you're better off selling as a combo. And unless you're doing some really sketchy stuff, you're not gonna make a lot of money selling it as a complete computer. So hopefully that was interesting. It was a little over an hour of me rambling, kind of going over my thought process of how I figure out pricing on stuff. I don't just use eBay to figure out pricing when it comes to selling on eBay. I also use it for whether I'm selling on Facebook Marketplace or to other vendors and stuff, because there's usually enough data out there to kind of use it to figure out a price point. If you do sell on eBay and you're using this stuff on pricing, you will want to factor in your shipping and handling costs and fees. If you don't have a store, your fees will be even higher. You'll have to do the math to see how much sales you have to do to justify paying for a basic store. If I remember right, I figured for me it'd have to be about $1,000, which obviously I'm surpassed that. But once you hit about $1,000 in sales, then it's worth paying for a basic store to get those fee discounts. In the case of motherboards, I think the fees on that are like 7%. If you factor in the fees you pay on sales tax, it ends up being around 10%. So yeah, that'll kind of help you reverse the math and figure out, well, if I can sell this motherboard for $85 and I know, oops, and I know the shipping is going to cost me $12 for the label, another, I don't know, be generous, $2 for bubble wrap, and then 10% in fees should be $8.50. Well, I know when I sell that motherboard, after all my eBay expenses, I'm gonna make $62.50. And then from there, you just gotta figure out if that's enough profit. If it's not, you could list it for more and get more money, but a lot of that comes down to how confident you are in your ability to sell stuff and how hard you want to play the game. Because I guess as you see here, the next example down, this one's going for, oops, this one here is going for $100 asking price. And they will probably get it from my experience, because I think the last time I sold these motherboards in this combination deal, I was getting around 100. But yeah, hopefully hour and a half's worth of rambling is interesting and useful to somebody. This is basically the thought processes I go through in pricing stuff and how I do it. So thanks for watching.